I should probably stick to weapons that look close to what I know it'll do. Tanaka moved to look at the other weapons. Though she was curious about what the alien weapons could do, she had noticed that not all the weapons were dedicated to offensive strategies. Her eyes spotted a simple taser. It would likely be useful for a narrow spectrum of strategies due to how it's utilized in combat. But I could only imagine what would happen if I selected a weapon I was ignorant about, only for it to be a defensive weapon. Tanaka shivered at the idea. She glanced back to where Darlena was standing, seeing the robot have the same smile it always seemed to wear. It felt like the robot could sense what Tanaka was thinking, and likely knew what every weapon was capable of doing to an enemy. The problem was that she didn't know what type of threat she had to deal with. Tanaka thought back to the orientation and the videos that were shown, likely taking place beyond the portal. At least, that's what I hope it was. She gritted her teeth. With so much being uncertain, Tanaka tried to find weapons that had a good balance between offensive and defensive capabilities. This made it so that she eliminated all the hot weapons, especially the ones that she'd been trained to use in the military. The worst thing that could happen is I run out of ammunition during the fight. Shaking her head at the thought. Since there were no ammunition cartridges that she could see, it was likely that the bullets already inside were all that she could get. Next, she began eliminating all the bladed weapons. The rationale was how she wasn't as familiar with them. Most bladed weapons were effective against a strong enemy if the techniques were mastered. If not, then it would be as though she were a child going against an adult. Tanaka chuckled when seeing grenades and other explosive weapons. Those, I'm not even going to consider them. Walking past numerous weapons, her eyes finally fell on something that she thought would work out for her. I see that you've made a decision, Darlena asked, noticing Tanaka's smile. Reaching down to the table, Tanaka picked up gauntlets. Yep, I think I'll go with these. She inserted her hands into each of the metal gloves. The first thing she noticed was how they fit her so well. The gauntlets covered her forearm with straps that needed to be tightened. Tanaka's fists were nearly covered in protective metal, but what was surprising was how her wrists didn't feel restricted. Even the joints of her fingers felt as though they could move freely. Tightening the straps on the forearms, Tanaka looked at how the top part of the knuckles were tipped with spikes. Not long enough to get stuck in an opponent and impede her ability to fight, but enough that a punch would hurt. The inner parts were covered in some kind of leather, allowing them to feel comfortable. Tanaka doubted that she'd feel much vibrations from the impact. Raising a fist in front of her, a shield was formed with her protected forearms. She then tried getting into a few stances, feeling the training she'd undergone in the martial arts taught to the soldiers. Nodding, I could probably even grapple someone with these on. Grinning, it'll give more meaning to ground and pound if I can mount the opponent. After a few jabs in a straight, Tanaka started bouncing on the balls of her feet. She then changed her stance and threw a side kick.